Hey everybody, welcome to my May opinions, my monthly opinions for May 2011 of the Sonic the Hedgehog comic book and franchise. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I just got 224 in the mail today, and it lived up to everything the summary said it was. I read it, and like I said, it lived up to everything. It's definitely a good lead-in, as I mentioned in my review, which you can see below this, in the video before this actually, that it was actually pretty good. Good lead-in to 225. And I think we're getting a lot more questions, a lot more answers, ladies and gentlemen, as to who could be on the verge of having the life hang in the balance or be at death's door. You know, I know a lot of people, and I mentioned this a little bit in my review, I know a lot of people still think it's going to be Sally, and you know, they have a right to think it's going to be her, but I think we kind of got a better indication as to who could be the other leading candidate out of issue 224. And the reason I say this is because let's face facts. A lot of people have said that Ian Flynn is a Sally fan. There's no doubt about it. And when you take a look at the fact that a lot of fans have been posting a lot of Sally art lately on DeviantArt, which Ian Flynn also has an account on, as well as has an account on YouTube, do you not think he knows how popular the character is? Of course he does. But, you know, here's the situation, ladies and gentlemen, here's the situation. He says nothing is sacred anymore. In other words, he says everything in every character is fair game. But here's the other thing, though. According to some sources that are close to the people that help work on the comic with Ian, they have indicated that Sally, Rotor, Bunny, Tails, and Antoine, and Amy, the freedom fighters, if you will, are going to go through. They're going to be fine. But I want you to realize something. There's one name that's missing out of those freedom fighters. One name that is now part of the freedom fighters, but it's been missing. But it's missing out of those names. Think about it. And if you take a look at 224, ladies and gentlemen, and then the issues before this, it will kind of indicate to you as to who it can and probably will be that takes the fall next issue. Now, if I read the summary next issue for 225, when it's provided by Chaos Control 14, and it says Sally, then yeah, I'll be surprised. As I'm sure everybody else will. But like I said, there's a lot of hints as to the fact that it may not be her. I mean, Ian recently replied to somebody on his message boards who posted something. He said in his reply to this person's post that Sally is one of the strongest female characters in the book. Now, why would he say Sally? Why would he say that about Sally if he's going to kill her off? Why would he do that? You know, it doesn't make sense. But I want you to notice that all those characters, I think he may have mentioned Bunny, I could be wrong, but about all those characters, Nicole's never mentioned. Think about it. And with everything going on, it's obviously got to be her. Now I know Ian's going to throw some red herrings out there and say, I don't know, it could be this person, could be that person. We already know that. And you know, in fact, one person replied to one of my videos, and they said that Ian Flynn is becoming very predictable. In other words, he's becoming predictable with his stories. That every time something happens, it's almost exactly how fans look at it. It's exactly how fans call it. Now, there have been times, I will give Ian credit, that he's caught us off guard. I give him that credit. I give him a lot of credit there. But the thing is, has he really caught us off guard? It's kind of 50-50, if you will, if you think about it. I mean, a lot of us went out on a limb when Sonic Universe came out And I'm pretty sure a lot of us, even before then, when it was just Sonic the Hedgehog, a lot of us went out on a limb and said Ian is gonna adapt other M into the comic book. Even though Ian denied he would do it, he's done just that according to many sources with the Silver Story arc in Sonic Universe. Now, even though he denies something, doesn't mean it's true. Now, yeah, the Silver Story arc is loosely based off Other M. It is loosely based off it. Just a few. Sure, there are some changes here and there, but again, the storyline is the same thing. The story arc and line is basically the same deal. You know, it's just, it's the same story, just a different kind of writing of it, kind of a rewritten version of it, if you will, a revised version. There we go. But again, just because he says something something's not going to happen doesn't mean it will. Now, Ian has gone on record and says that when he kills a character off in a comic book, his policy is dead is dead. Which I'm pretty sure also would mean life hanging in the balance means life hanging in the balance. In other words, what that would mean to Ian is if that character survives, their lives are going to be changed forever. Because they're going to see things from a different aspect, a different point of view, if you will. But again, a lot of people are going to go out there and say it's going to be Sally, it's going to be this character, it's going to be that character. But I think all indications are leading towards you know who. Now, as I mentioned in my review, I could be wrong. We could all be wrong, and again, Ian could surprise us. He could make it Sally. He could make it Elias. He could make it somebody else. We don't know. But again, the leading candidates are there. If it is Sally and her life hangs in the balance, it's not going to be the first time. It's not going to be the first time, people. Now, another thing a lot of people have a question about is, how does this tie in with Genesis? Well, apparently, Genesis is basically a little different in some ways. Some say it does tie in to the continuity of the current storyline, because some will say, well, if you read what the line that Eggman says before they launch, he says he wants to remake the world. Okay, that might be a little bit of clues. Then you take a look at all the quotations they take from the issues of 209, 210 and all that during the Iron Dominion story arc, and you figure to yourself, well, wait a minute, how does that tie in? We don't get it. Nobody does. Nobody knows. But, here's another thing, folks. Here's another thing. When you read this interview that Ian Flynn did with the likes of Newsarama, he says basically after Genesis they'll be picking up where they left off. So what does that say? Does that say Genesis is part of the continuity in the storyline? Or does that mean Genesis is just a side story? When I think about it, it's just a side story being made up for the anniversary issue, for the anniversary. Think about it, folks. Think about it. You got Sonic Generations coming out, where you can play as modern Sonic or classic Sonic. What does that tell you? It tells me, folks, right off the bat, that the Genesis storyline is going to be separate. Again, it goes back to a theory I have. Well, not a theory, but it goes back to 2 issues a couple of years ago that Ian did on Mobius Years Later. He interrupted the main continuity of the book to do those 2 issues. Am I right? So, what's to say he's not doing the same thing here? Because think about it. Why would he do the same thing here and make it part of the continuity? Why would he do that? All he's doing is basically doing his version of how Sonic and the Freedom Fighters met. That's what he's doing. Now, if it ties in with the current continuity, then it ties in. But honestly, folks, from what I read in that interview, it's obviously just going to be its own separate story to tie in with the anniversary. Because think about it, the anniversary is taking place during the summer. The issue itself is being released on newsstands the day after the 4th of July. So think about it. The day after the 4th of July is when it begins. Now, for a lot of us, it's going to begin, before that. For me, it's going to begin possibly June 1st, July 1st, if not June 27th. That's when it's going to begin for me. June 27th, the week of June 27th to the July 1st. That's when it will begin for me, the Genesis thing. But is that how it will begin? We don't know. Well, not how it will begin, but the thing is, folks, we really don't know what Genesis is about. But apparently, from what we have seen and everything, it's all basically going to be either a retelling, kind of a what-if retelling of the origins to tie in with the anniversary, or it's going to somehow tie in with the current continuity. We don't know. But all I do know is this. What happens next month happens, no matter what we can do. There's nothing we can really do. But I seriously doubt it's going to be who we think it is, but it's going to be who we do think it is. And especially after you look at 224 and you look at the previous issues, you'll get that idea. Because, like I said, who I think it is, you take a look at 224 and it kind of gives you an idea that it's got to be her. But then again, like I said, we've been thrown curveballs before. We'll see what happens. But like I said, it goes back to the Other M deal. Ian stated when he first began, I'm never going to do Other M. I'm never going to adapt it. What's he do? He adapts it loosely in the Silver Story arc in Sonic Universe. So what does that tell you? It tells you that you can never believe a word he says sometimes, because you never know if he's telling the truth. But according to, like I said, the other sources that work with him, the characters that everybody feels could be on that chopping block, like Sally, Bunny, Rotor, Antoine Tails, Amy. They're all going to pass through. They're all going to pass through, folks. So we'll just have to wait and see. And as far as the upcoming Scourge story arc goes, it looks very interesting, especially with the involvement of the Destructics. So we'll just have to see where they play out. And as far as Genesis goes, like I said, I feel it's going to be probably a what-if retelling of the origins, just to tie in with the anniversary issue. And as far as the game Sonic Generations goes, from the trailer I saw, it looks pretty good. I'm probably going to pick it up when it comes out. So that's all I have to say. And here are my monthly opinions for May 2011 of the Sonic the Hedgehog comic book and franchise. Comment down below if you like. Give me your thoughts on what I said here today. Do you agree or not? And I will talk to you all later.